Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be talking about money, specifically financial independence and mindful living.
Oh, yeah?
Our source material is the 2018 revised edition of Your Money or Your Life by Vicki Robin.
With a foreword by Mr. Money Mustache.
Exactly.
Everybody knows Mr. Money Mustache.
We're going to go beyond the basics of not having to work for money, and we're going to try and figure out what financial independence really means.
And how to achieve a more fulfilling life.
This book's been around for a while, right?
It has.
Originally published in 1992.
Wow.
Pretty old.
Yeah, that's older than me.
It's interesting to see how its message still resonates, especially with the rise of the FIRE movement.
The FIRE movement.
Financial independence, retire early.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that?
Oh, yeah. A lot of people are talking about that.
A lot of people are talking about it.
Especially young people.
What I find interesting is this book's central message of freeing yourself from the illusion that buying things brings happiness. It's more relevant today than ever, I think.
Absolutely. I think we're constantly bombarded with messages that tell us we need more. More.
More. Like we're just little Pac-Man ghosts or something, chomping along. So how do we break free from that cycle? Well, Your Money or Your Life challenges us to do just that, to reevaluate our relationship with money and discover what truly matters.
I like that.
So, financial independence, it's not just about accumulating wealth. It's about freedom.
Freedom?
The freedom to choose work that aligns with your values,
Yeah.
or even opting out of traditional work altogether.
Interesting.
Maybe you just want to go live in a cabin in the woods,
Yeah.
if that's your thing.
Or a yurt.
Or a yurt.
Some people live in yurts now.
People live in yurts.
Yeah. It's a thing.
It's a thing. So the book says it's about reaching this point where you can work for love or money.
Love or money.
Or a little bit of both.
Sure.
But the world of work and retirement has changed a lot since this book first came out in '92.
It has. It's a different world.
Different world. I mean, think about it. Pensions.
Pensions are basically gone.
Basically gone.
Yeah.
So many people rely solely on Social Security.
That's a scary thought.
Which is kind of scary if you think about it too hard. And that's where this book's insights, I think, become even more relevant today.
Yeah, I agree.
It highlights these experiences of young people who are trying to navigate this new landscape. So there are a few people they talk about. They're all young people.
Okay.
Like Brandon. He's a farmhand and he's saving up for trade school.
Okay.
Then you've got Chris. He's an engineer. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to take a year off. I'm going to do some service. I'm going to travel.
Good for him.
Good for him. And then Melody, she's working customer service while she's training to be a nursing assistant.
Okay.
So their stories kind of paint this picture of a generation that's adapting.
Adapting to a changing world.
To a changing world, right. Forging their own paths.
Yeah, and it's not just young people, right? There are people nearing traditional retirement age who are like, wait a minute.
Right.
I need to figure something out here.
I can't retire.
Yeah. So they're finding ways to maybe extend their working years, or they're downsizing, or they're joining the gig economy.
The gig economy.
So many gigs.
It's all changing. The landscape of work is definitely shifting.
It is.
And this book provides, I think, a pretty good framework for navigating those shifts.
Yeah, I think so too.
Your Money or Your Life emphasizes three, I think, really core values for achieving financial independence.
Okay, lay by me.
So the first one is frugality.
Frugality.
And what I find interesting about how this book defines frugality is it says it's about appreciating what you have.
Okay.
It's about understanding that waste comes from not enjoying what you already possess.
Interesting.
It's a shift in perspective.
Yeah, it is. It's not about deprivation.
It's not.
It's about making conscious choices.
Right.
Finding contentment in what you have.
And then the next one is simplicity.
Simplicity.
Embracing the concept of enough.
Enough.
What is enough?
Oh, that's the question, isn't it?
It really is. And the book acknowledges that, that's unique to each individual.
Oh, absolutely. What might feel like enough for one person could be totally different for someone else.
Totally.
Yeah.
So the third one, self-sufficiency.
Self-sufficiency.
Encouraging us to learn skills to reduce our dependence on paid services.
I like that.
So, learning how to, maybe do some basic plumbing or change the oil in your car.
Or bake your own bread.
Bake your own bread, all that good stuff.
Be more self-sufficient.
Become a homesteader.
Here you go.
Live off the grid. No, I'm just kidding.
Some people do.
Some people do.
Yeah.
So I love the analogy that this book uses.
Okay.
Turtles and hares
Okay.
to describe how people approach FI.
I like that. So, like, some people, the turtles, take a slow and steady approach.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Right, exactly. While others, the hares, are all about reaching FI as quickly as possible.
Zoom, zoom.
Yeah, they're like, let's do this 30. I want to be retired by 30.
Retired by 30, I've heard that.
You see those people online?
Oh, yeah. All over the place.
Yeah,
But the book says neither approach is right or wrong.
that's good.
It's about finding a pace that suits you.
Exactly.
Your personality, your goals, your lifestyle.
Right.
Now, here's where I think things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm listening.
Money equals life energy.
Whoa.
Have you ever thought about it like that?
No, but that's interesting.
Think about it. You're literally trading your time,
Which is precious.
which is precious, your hours, your energy,
For money.
for money.
Hmm.
Is that a fair exchange?
That's a question we should all be asking ourselves.
Yeah, and that's what this book encourages us to do.
Yeah.
It challenges us to evaluate how much life energy we're actually spending on our jobs.
Right.
And it's not just the work hours.
Right.
It's the commute.
The commute can be brutal.
Oh, it can be brutal. It's work-related expenses.
Oh, yeah, all those little things add up.
Oh, they do. And even like the emotional toll, right?
Oh, the emotional toll,
Of,
definitely.
of a job.
Huh.
So the book talks about this guy, Mark H.
Okay.
And he realized that he was spending like a huge amount of his income
Well,
just on work-related expenses. So he was like, you know what?
what did he do?
I'm going to switch to part-time.
Smart.
And by doing that, he was able to cut those expenses. And he actually ended up financially better off.
Wow.
And he had more time for the things he cared about.
That's a win-win.
It is a win-win. So this leads us to the next step.
Okay, what is it?
Track every cent.
Every cent.
Every cent. Now, I know some people might hear track every cent and they're like, oh, that sounds tedious
Yeah, I could see that.
or restrictive. But your money or your life emphasizes that it's not about deprivation. It's about awareness.
Awareness.
It's about making informed choices.
Okay.
So the book even uses this example of Elaine.
Okay, Elaine, what did she do?
And as she started tracking her spending, she naturally spent less.
Really?
Not because she was like, trying to deprive herself, but her self-esteem rose because she was like, oh, I have control.
It's empowering.
It's empowering. And speaking of empowering, let's talk about enough.
Enough.
This is a big thing in this book, finding that sweet spot where you have everything you need and want without going overboard.
Yeah, without all the excess.
Right.
Yeah.
Without all the excess. And it's not about minimalism. It's not about deprivation.
No, it's not.
It's about finding that point on the fulfillment curve where more possessions won't actually bring you more happiness.
Okay.
So your money or your life introduces this visual tool.
Oh, I love visual tools.
It's called the wall chart.
The wall chart. Okay.
Okay, so you basically plot your monthly income and expenses,
Okay.
and you watch the gap close over time.
I can see how that would be motivating.
It can be motivating, right? So they talk about this woman, Ivy, and she was like terrified to share her finances with a group.
Oh, yeah, that could be scary.
It can be scary, right? But then she experienced this sense of pride as she was tracking her progress.
Using the wall chart.
Using the wall chart.
Yeah.
So you've got all this like emotional stuff, the mindset stuff.
Getting your mind right.
You're tracking your spending, but how do you actually start making some progress?
Yeah, how do you get started?
The book is pretty clear. Debt keeps you chained to a job.
Oh, yeah. Debt is definitely a chain.
So tackling that is crucial.
Absolutely.
So it emphasizes paying off high-interest debt, like credit cards, payday loans.
As quickly as possible.
ASAP, as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
They tell this story about Tanya N.
Okay.
Paid off her $26,000 debt.
Wow.
And she describes it as incredible freedom.
Oh, I bet.
Right? Like,
The weight is lifted.
the weight is lifted.
Yeah.
So once you've tackled your debt, you can start implementing some of the book's creative frugality strategies.
Oh, I like those. What are some of them?
One of the first ones they talk about, don't go shopping.
Don't go shop.
I know, it sounds crazy, but they're basically saying, avoid temptation.
Okay.
Stay away from those tempting aisles.
Stay out of the stores.
Stay out of the stores.
And off of Amazon.
And off of Amazon.
Close that tab.
Close those tabs. And it makes a big difference.
I bet it does.
It really does. It
Yeah.
really does. They also talk about living within your means.
Living within your means.
Buying what you can truly afford.
That's a good one.
Then they say, Maintain what you own.
Okay, maintain what you own.
Repair instead of replace whenever possible.
Yeah, make things last.
Make things
Don't
last.
just throw things away.
Don't just throw things away. Wear it out.
Wear it out.
Use things for their full lifespan.
Love it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do it yourself.
DIY.
DIY. Learn new skills. Save some money.
Yeah.
Gain a sense of self-sufficiency.
Empowerment.
Empowerment.
Yeah.
They also talk about anticipating your needs so you don't make impulse purchases.
Okay, plan ahead.
Plan ahead. Right.
Be prepared.
Use everything you buy.
Don't let things go to waste.
Right. Minimize waste. Research your options.
Compare prices.
Compare prices.
Seek out discounts.
Seek out those discounts.
Be a savvy shopper.
A savvy shopper. You know, they also say explore alternatives like swapping,
Swapping.
bartering,
Sharing. Being generous.
No.
There's a whole world of creative and fulfilling ways to save money.
It's not just about being cheap. It's about being resourceful.
And being mindful.
Yeah.
And being generous. And they even suggest following these 9 steps outlined in the book
Okay.
to help you work towards achieving FI,
A roadmap to FI.
a roadmap.
Yeah.
And then they talk about this thing called the crossover point.
The crossover point. What is that?
That's when your monthly investment income surpasses your monthly expenses,
Okay.
making work optional.
Wow.
Pretty exciting, right?
It is exciting, but it can also be a little scary, right?
It can be.
It's like, what do I do now? What do you do now? They even tell a story about this guy who calls Vicki Robin after reaching FI.
Oh, no.
He's like, I'm freaking out.
I don't know what to do with myself.
He's terrified
That's funny.
because, you know, it's like you're stepping off this familiar path.
Into the unknown.
Into uncharted territory. It can be exhilarating and a little bit scary.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you've reached this, exciting crossover point. Work is optional. But how do you make sure your money keeps working for you?
That's the question.
That's the question. We need to talk about some investment strategies.
Let's do it.
Now, in earlier editions of the book, they really emphasized U.S. Treasury bonds.
Okay.
But, Joe Dominguez, Vicki Robin's co-author, he retired at 31 using a bond strategy.
31.
But that was back when interest rates were a lot higher.
Yeah, things have changed.
Things have changed.
The financial landscape is totally different.
So the book acknowledges that, and it explores a wider array of investment options.
Like what?
Index funds.
Okay, index fund.
Real estate.
Real estate, yeah.
And SRI.
That's all right. What's that?
Socially responsible investing.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. So let's break those down a little bit.
Yep.
So first up, index funds.
Index funds, okay.
So these are basically designed to track the performance of a particular market index,
Okay.
offering diversification, generally lower fees compared to actively managed funds.
Okay.
So they quote Warren Buffett in the book, and he's like, index funds are a sensible choice for most investors.
Warren Buffett knows a thing or two about investing.
But there are different types of index funds.
Oh, there are.
There are.
Okay, tell me more.
Each with their own pros and cons.
Yeah.
So it's not one size fits all.
So you have to do your research.
Get out of your research.
Figure out which one's right for you.
So you got broad market index funds. They track a wide range of stocks like the S&P 500.
Okay.
And then there are more specialized index funds that, maybe focus on a specific sector like technology or healthcare.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then you also have bond index funds, which are good if you're looking for a less volatile investment.
Less risk, less reward.
Potentially.
Potentially.
So how do you choose the right index fund?
It depends. Your goals, your risk tolerance, your time horizon. The book encourages you to do your research, understand those fees, and maybe consult with a financial advisor if you need to.
Sound advice.
So that's index funds.
Okay, what about real estate?
Real estate. So the book, they tell this story of Scott Trench.
Scott Trench.
And he advocates for investing in small multifamily properties as a way to build wealth and generate passive income.
Okay.
And then they talk about this couple,
Okay.
the Frugal Woods. Have you heard of them?
The Frugal Woods, I think so.
They have a blog. They're very well known in the FI community.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They achieved FI.
Good for them.
They're building a homestead, a sustainable homestead.
Wow.
And they're combining real estate and index fund investments.
So they're diversifying.
They're diversifying.
Yeah. So these examples, illustrate how real estate can be a pretty powerful tool.
Yeah, it can be.
But like any investment, it comes with its risks.
Yeah.
And it requires careful research and planning.
Absolutely.
Last but not least, SRI, socially responsible investing.
Oh, yes, SRI.
This is about aligning your investments with your values.
Okay.
So, imagine investing in companies that, align with things you care about, like renewable energy or sustainable agriculture.
Yeah.
You're not just growing your wealth, you're supporting causes you believe in.
I like that. It's like putting your money where your mouth is.
Putting your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Making sure your investments reflect your values.
Exactly. So the book explains that, SRI has grown significantly.
It has.
It has. It now represents a substantial portion of professionally managed investments.
Really?
It's growing. And it aims to avoid those negative impacts, seek those positive impacts, and maybe even influence the policies of the companies you invest in.
That's pretty cool.
So now, the book doesn't stop at financial wealth.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Okay, there's more.
There's more. They introduce this concept called natural wealth
Natural wealth.
and how it connects to financial interdependence.
Okay. Interesting.
So what is natural wealth?
That is natural wealth.
It encompasses your abilities,
Abilities.
which includes your skills and knowledge,
Okay.
your sense of belonging,
Belonging, yeah.
which comes from your relationships,
Our relationships, our community.
your community, and then your community itself,
Okay.
including the society and the environment you live in.
So it's recognizing the wealth that exists beyond money.
Beyond the money.
The wealth of our skills, relationships, our community.
And your money or your life really emphasizes that financial independence doesn't have to mean isolation.
It doesn't.
In fact, strong communities can actually help you reduce your reliance on money.
That makes sense.
Right. It's like you have this support system that allows you to share resources, skills, knowledge, which decreases your need for those like traditional financial resources.
That's a good point. It's shifting from a mindset of scarcity to a mindset of abundance and collaboration.
Abundance and collaboration, exactly. But what happens when you actually reach that crossover point
The crossover point.
when work becomes optional?
Yeah, what does that transition look like?
What does that transition look like? Because it's not always smooth sailing, right?
Probably not, no.
The book talks about these crossover point jitters,
Crossover point jitters.
that feeling of unease that can come with such a significant life change. Remember that guy who called Vicki, terrified of his freedom?
Yeah, it's a big change.
It is. And it makes total sense. It's like stepping off the familiar path into uncharted territory.
Exactly.
But as the book points out, it's all part of the process. And, you might feel a little jumpy, a little bored, even overwhelmed at first.
Overwhelmed, yeah.
It's like a kid in a candy store.
I could do anything.
I can do anything. I don't know what to do.
So many choices.
So many choices. But eventually, you settle into this routine that's guided by what truly matters to you.
Not by a clock.
Not by a clock.
Or someone else's expectation.
Or someone else's expectations. So stay tuned.
Oh, there's more.
There's more. For part 2 of our deep dive, where we're going to continue exploring your money or your life.
I can't wait.
I can't wait either.
This is good stuff.
It is good stuff.
Welcome back to our deep dive into your money or your life. We were just talking about how reaching financial independence can be kind of like taking a leap of faith, like a trapeze artist.
Letting go of one bar to grab another.
Exactly. So it makes you wonder how to navigate that transition.
Right.
And what to even expect on the other side.
Because it's not always easy.
It's not.
Yeah.
And the book acknowledges that even with careful planning and a solid financial cushion, it can still be emotionally challenging.
Because you're so used to working toward this goal, and then boom, you're there.
It's a big shift. So what happens next?
What do you do?
That's the question, right? And there's no one-size-fits-all answer. The book kind of suggests that. Some people might just dive headfirst into their passions, travel the world, or dedicate themselves to meaningful projects, while others might just need some time to decompress, adjust to a slower pace,
Right.
and figure out what really brings them joy.
It's about rediscovering yourself.
Yeah. What do you want to do with your time now,
Exactly.
now that you have the freedom to choose?
You get to choose. You get to decide.
That's right. And the book emphasizes that this is a unique journey for every individual. There's no right or wrong way to navigate this new chapter.
No right or wrong way to live your life.
Exactly. Take your time.
Yeah.
Explore what feels right for you.
I love that. So let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about frugality.
Frugality.
Which can be a bit of a controversial topic.
It can be, yeah.
Yeah.
Some people see it as deprivation.
Being cheap.
Scrooge McDuck.
Scrooge McDuck. So how does your money or your life approach this concept?
Well, it kind of reframes it as a way to enjoy what you have. Like, to the fullest.
Yeah.
It's not about denying yourself. It's about getting the most value, the most satisfaction out of your possessions and experiences.
I like that.
Instead of focusing on what you don't have, you appreciate and savor what you do have.
It's like a gratitude practice.
Exactly. The book even uses this Spanish word, aprovechar, to kind of illustrate this concept.
Aprovechar.
It means like to use something wisely, to savor it, to get full value from it, whether it's a delicious meal, a sunny day at the beach, or like a cherished possession.
Oh, I love that.
It's about appreciating, enjoying what you have.
It's a beautiful word. It captures that essence of like mindful, appreciative living.
Exactly. And, the book argues that waste comes not from having too little, but from not fully appreciating, from not fully utilizing what you already have.
Makes you think about all those clothes in your closet you never wear.
Or that food that goes bad in the fridge.
Because you bought too much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It all ties back to that concept of enough, doesn't it?
It does. Finding that sweet spot where you have what you need and want, but not, the excess.
Yeah.
That leads to clutter, financial strain.
And even, a diminished sense of fulfillment.
Okay, so let's get practical. Let's talk strategies. What are some of those creative frugality strategies the book offers?
Well, one that might seem a bit counterintuitive is don't go shopping.
Don't go shopping.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But it's about avoiding those tempting situations.
When you're like, oh, maybe I need that.
Exactly.
Even though I don't.
Those impulse purchases that you later regret.
Oh, I'm so guilty of that. Browsing online, wandering through stores.
Yeah.
No real intention of buying anything. And then I come home with a bag full of stuff.
I know. Those targeted ads get us every time.
They really do. But the book offers some tips.
Oh, good. Like what?
Unsubscribe from tempting emails. Be mindful of your browsing habits.
Okay. Yeah.
Even setting limits on your online spending.
Creating those boundaries.
Protecting yourself.
I like that.
What about living within your means? What does that actually look like?
Well, it's basically making sure your spending aligns with your income.
Okay.
And avoiding that trap of relying on credit to finance a lifestyle you can't truly afford.
Which so many people do.
And a lot of people do.
Yeah.
It might involve making some adjustments, finding creative ways to save, or maybe even exploring ways to increase your income.
Or even like downsizing.
Downsizing, right.
Whoa.
The key is to be honest with yourself about your financial situation.
Honesty.
And create a budget that reflects your priorities, your goals.
I think a lot of people struggle with budgeting.
Yeah, it can feel restrictive.
Very.
Like you're confronting your spending habits head on.
Yeah.
But remember, a budget is a tool.
It's a tool.
It's about empowering you to make conscious choices about where your money goes. And it doesn't have to be complicated, right?
Right.
There are tons of apps and resources out there that can help.
Oh, yeah. There are so many budgeting apps, so many resources.
There are.
What about this idea of maintaining what you own? I've been thinking about that a lot lately, like repairing things instead of just throwing them away and buying new ones.
Yeah, I like that. Repairing instead of replacing whenever possible is a key frugality strategy. It's about valuing your possessions, extending their lifespan, and reducing your overall consumption. More sustainable.
It is. And it can save you a lot of money.
It can.
I've been surprised by how much I enjoy fixing things myself. Like I did that.
Yeah.
It's empowering. You don't always have to rely on someone else.
Exactly. And that sense of empowerment is a big part of like the do-it-yourself spirit that this book encourages.
Is that why?
Whether it's fixing a leaky faucet, baking your own bread from scratch, or like even mending your own clothes.
It's satisfying.
It is. And it's a great way to connect with your belongings. Really appreciate the value of things that might otherwise be taken for granted.
Makes you think twice before tossing something out and buying a new one. Okay, so the book also offers a bunch of other practical tips, right?
Yeah, it does.
Like anticipating your needs to avoid those impulse purchases, using everything you buy to minimize waste, researching your options to find those good deals, those discounts, and even exploring alternatives like swapping, bartering, sharing,
I love those.
gifting experiences instead of material goods.
Yeah.
There are so many creative ways to save money and live more intentionally.
It's all about getting creative. Finding those ways to align your spending with your values and your FI goals.
Exactly. So frugality, it's not about deprivation. It's about making choices that enhance your life, both financially and personally.
I like that. It's about living more intentionally, creating a life that aligns with your values.
So we've talked about, the emotional challenges of FI, the concept of frugality, strategies for saving money. But what happens after you've reached that crossover point?
Yeah.
What does life actually look like?
Right. The book really emphasizes that financial independence isn't an end goal in itself.
Yeah.
It's a gateway to a more fulfilling, more intentional way of life.
It's about having that freedom,
To design your days based on what truly matters to you.
not on the demands of a job.
Exactly.
So it's about reclaiming your time, reclaiming your energy,
Yeah.
and using them to create a life that brings you joy, purpose,
Yeah.
fulfillment.
Living life on your own terms.
I love that. And they say this transition can be a process of growth and self-discovery.
Oh, yeah.
You might uncover hidden passions, develop new skills.
Deepen your connections with others.
Yeah, it's like a whole new chapter unfolds, full of possibilities.
It's exciting.
It is exciting. And that's what I find so appealing about this whole FI concept.
Yeah.
It's not just about the money, it's about the freedom, the flexibility to create a life that truly reflects who you are and what you want to do.
Exactly. It's about aligning your life with your values and priorities, not with the expectations of society or, a job you might not even enjoy.
It's about living a life of intention and purpose. Now, let's be realistic. Even in FI, money still plays a role.
It does.
So how does your money or your life address managing your finances responsibly once you've reached that point of freedom?
Well, it all comes back to those core principles. Awareness, intentionality, and aligning your spending with your values.
Even though you're not working for money.
Exactly. You still need to track those expenses,
Yeah.
make conscious choices, and make sure that your spending supports the life you want to create.
So you don't just go crazy and spend all your money.
Right. You still need to be mindful, responsible.
You've reached this new level of financial freedom, but you still got to be a good steward of your resources.
Exactly. And the book provides some guidance on, investment strategies
Oh, okay.
that can help you preserve and grow your wealth over time, ensuring that your money continues to support your chosen lifestyle as you navigate the different stages of your life.
So it's not just about reaching FI, it's about maintaining it, making sure your money keeps on working for you.
Yeah.
Can you give us some examples of those investment strategies?
Sure. Well, the book revisits that idea of investing in real estate, but this time focusing on creating a sustainable, self-sufficient lifestyle.
Like the Frigglewood's.
Exactly. They're building a homestead.
With gardens and renewable energy.
Yeah. And they even have an income-producing rental unit.
I love that.
So they've created this lifestyle where their home, their land, it's all integral to their financial independence and their overall well-being.
It's inspiring. It's like they've integrated their FI goals with their passion for sustainable living.
Right. They're not just financially independent. They're creating a life that aligns with their values, a life that contributes to a healthier planet.
And their story just highlights how diverse FI can look. It's not just about retiring early and sitting on a beach.
It's about designing a life that is meaningful and fulfilling for you.
Whatever that looks like.
Exactly. Whether that's traveling the world, starting a business, dedicating yourself to a cause, or just spending more time with loved ones.
So your money or your life, it's empowering us to define what FI means for us.
Yeah.
And to create a life that reflects our values and aspirations.
Exactly. Now, the book also touches on the concept of investing in businesses.
Oh, okay.
So, either through partnerships or lending.
Yeah, okay.
It can be a way to potentially generate additional income while supporting ventures that align with your values. But they emphasize the importance of really researching any business you're considering.
Due diligence.
Due diligence,
Yeah.
understanding
Yeah.
the risks, and seeking advice from, experienced investors if you need to.
So don't just jump in blindly.
No. And they also caution against those riskier or ethically questionable investments,
Okay.
like day trading or complex financial products that you don't fully understand.
Stay away from those.
Yeah.
So it's not just about maximizing returns, it's about making sure your investments align with your ethical compass.
Exactly. Make sure your money's working for good.
Love that. Okay, so before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to go back to that concept of natural wealth and financial interdependence. How does your money or your life suggest we, cultivate these forms of wealth even after we've reached FI?
Well, it encourages us to invest our time and energy in our abilities, relationships, and our community. Remember those ABCs: abilities, belonging, and community.
It's like recognizing that true wealth goes beyond just money.
It does.
It's about cultivating those aspects of our lives that bring us joy, connection, and a sense of purpose.
Exactly. It's about nurturing our skills,
Right.
strengthening our bonds, and contributing to our community.
And what I think is so interesting is They emphasize how these forms of wealth can actually appreciate faster than money.
Especially when you have the time and freedom to invest in them.
It's a good point. It challenges us to really rethink our understanding of wealth,
And to recognize the abundance that exists beyond those financial resources.
shifting from accumulating more to living more intentionally.
Creating a life that reflects your deepest desires.
So, your money or your life, it challenges us to really broaden our definition of wealth.
To create a life where FI is not the end goal, but a stepping stone.
To a more fulfilling, more interconnected way of being.
I love that.
Me too. This has been such an insightful conversation. Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll explore some real-world examples of people who have embraced these principles.
And created these extraordinary lives of freedom and purpose.
I can't wait. Welcome back to our deep dive into your money or your life.
We're in the final stretch now.
We are. And, in this final part, we're going to shift from concepts to, real-life stories. Because sometimes I think it helps to hear, okay, these ideas are great, but how have they actually played out?
People who've walked the walk.
Exactly. People who have actually used these principles, reached FI, created these fulfilling lives, and they're in the book.
Oh, cool.
So first up, the story of Ted.
Ted?
He left his high-pressure job, moved to Oregon.
What did he do in Oregon?
Well, he loved writing, but he felt stuck in a job that just, drained him.
Oh, no.
Just to maintain a certain level of income, you know?
Been there.
Been there, done that. But by simplifying his life, reducing his expenses, embracing frugality, he created space for his writing.
Wow.
And get this, he started bidding higher for his remodeling jobs.
Higher.
Higher, assuming he would get less work.
Okay.
But the opposite happened.
Really?
His clients, they valued his craftsmanship. They were willing to pay a premium.
Interesting.
It's like they sensed his passion, his commitment to quality.
And he was able to pursue his writing.
Without that pressure.
Love that.
Yeah.
So sometimes, by letting go of that attachment to a certain income or a job title, you can actually unlock more abundance.
You can. Next story is Nina.
Nina.
She was a hotel maid. And she dreamed of a more fulfilling career.
Okay. So what happened?
So she tracked her expenses meticulously. She saved diligently.
She was on a mission.
She was. She used her wall chart as a visual motivator.
Love it.
And then one day, she's volunteering at a conference.
Okay.
And an opportunity arises. And because she was so prepared, so dedicated, Nina landed her dream job as the executive director of that nonprofit.
That's awesome.
Pretty cool.
It is. So financial independence can really pave the way for pursuing your passions and creating that life of meaning. It's not just about the money. It's about having the freedom to choose a path that resonates with you.
Exactly. And her story is a testament to the power of setting those clear goals and consistently working towards them.
Consistency is key.
No matter the obstacles.
Absolutely. Obstacles are just stepping stones.
They are. All right, last story. Financial interdependence in action.
Okay, I'm ready.
Vicki Robin, she co-owned a house in Seattle.
Oh, cool.
With friends.
That's a good idea.
They created this shared living space, which provided affordable housing, sense of belonging, support. And then when they eventually sold the house, they all benefited financially.
A win-win.
It is a win-win. It really highlights that cooperative spirit, the power of community.
Yeah. You don't have to go it alone.
You don't. So as we wrap up this deep dive into your money or your life, I want to leave our listeners with this final question.
Oh, question. Okay.
If you didn't have to work for money, what would you do with your time?
Ooh, that's a good one.
How might that change your definition of enough?
Right, because if you don't have to trade your time for money anymore, then what is enough?
It really makes you think. And your money or your life encourages us to do just that, to redefine our relationship with money, reevaluate our priorities, and create a life that's both financially secure and fulfilling.
It's not just a financial guide. It's a guide to a richer, more meaningful existence.
Exactly. So thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you've enjoyed it. We hope you've gained some inspiration, some practical takeaways for your own journey toward financial independence and, just a life you love.
Thanks for listening.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.